such a time as this.
And welcome back to For Such a Time as This. I'm your host, Pastor James Pittman. The Illinois Review on Monday, June 3rd, 2019 made a list of all the horrors coming out of Springfield, which politicians call legislation. Wanted to focus on one subject of these horrors. They're going to allow inmates to vote, including establish a polling place at the Cook County Jail. I'll say it again. They're going to allow inmates to vote. Polling place and jail. This seems to be quite popular in our culture. Tucker Carlson was on his show and he had one Robert White, a D.C. councilman, Washington, D.C., and they had a little talk about the wisdom of allowing inmates to vote. Want to show this clip and then let's see if we can take a stab at the wisdom.
So when people commit felonies, they lose their rights. The Constitution's pretty clear about that. And voting is one of the rights they lose. What's the idea behind restoring it?
Well, the Constitution isn't clear about that. When people commit a crime, when people are convicted of felonies, they don't lose their citizenship. They don't lose their civil liberties. In fact, they don't even lose their right to counsel. Someone could commit a crime in front of the police, and they would still have a right to counsel. And what I would argue is that in a democracy, the right to vote is a much more fundamental right than the right to counsel.
They don't lose their civil liberties. People convicted of felonies are locked in a cage, often until they die. Sometimes they're executed, they're killed. Of course they lose their civil liberties. And the 13th Amendment, which ended slavery, is really clear that involuntary servitude is banned except as punishment for a crime. And that's the line, except as punishment for a crime. So why would we lock a person in a cage, not allow him to have normal relations with anyone or even go outside, but he can still vote? I'm confused.
Yeah, I'm confused too. Mr. White, who apparently is a lawyer, just because a person commits a felony and is locked in a cage does not mean he loses his civil liberties. Civil means that which pertains to a community. Be civil. You live in a community. You live in a group of people. That's the civil. Liberties, that which pertains to freedom. Civil, community, liberties pertaining to freedom. Just because a person is a felon locked in a cage does not mean he loses his civil liberties. Just because it's fire doesn't mean it's hot. Just because it's water doesn't mean it's wet. The definition of incarceration is that you lose your civil liberties. You can no longer move in the community free. And these are the leaders. These are the politicians passing laws that you and I have to live under. If you live in the Socialist Republic of Illinois, you know that these are the people that are passing laws in our state. Just because you commit a felony and you are incarcerated doesn't mean you lose your civil liberties. These are our politicians.
For such a time as this.